In this video, we're painting the shrieking shock troops of Algaroth. Hi all, and welcome to the cabin. Today it's time for another painting tutorial for Warzone Eternal. And after having finished the Praetorian Stalkers in the last video, I'm excited to get some work done on the Immaculate Furies. But first, let's dive into some news about the game. In just over a week, the entire range of Warzone Eternal will be available as STL files when Transatlantis Games launches their Frontier on MyMiniFactory on June 29th. While I don't own a 3D printer myself, I think it's a very good initiative that will make the game more accessible for lots of fans and potential new players. At the same time, 3 brand new units will also be released in both digital and physical formats. They are the Imperial Wolfbane Commandos, the Mishima Samurai, and the Bauhaus Hussars. If you're interested in the STL files, you can sign up and follow the Frontier for updates, which also grants you a free Wolfbane Commando miniature right away. Transatlantis Games actually have a painting competition running right now to see who can paint this new miniature in the coolest way. The 3 best entries will win paints from the Too Thin Coats line. You have until August 3rd to get your mini painted, and for more details, check out the links in the description and pinned comment below. With all of this going on, July is shaping up to be a great month for fans of Warzone Eternal. And here at Cabin Miniatures, we've decided to launch the Summer of Warzone with a new painting or gaming video releasing every Sunday throughout July at 5 p.m. CET or 11 a.m. EST. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on all that upcoming content. To promote this series, here is a beautiful artwork which I commissioned by Cormac McAvoy, who also made illustrations for the Warzone Eternal rulebook. Thanks again for the amazing piece you created. Alright, let's get back to the Immaculate Furies. These terrifying monstrosities serve only Algaroth and were created by one of his most brilliant technomancers. Furies are based on human embryos, but their DNA is manipulated into something completely alien. They have a vertical stretch of metal strips instead of a mouth and jaws, which works as a complex filtration system. This makes them immune to toxic gases, and they can also use it to emit a soulless shriek that liquefies the flesh of their victims. In Warzone Eternal, Immaculate Furies carry the Soul Shearer, which fires a concentrated bolt of dark power that severs the very life essence from the body of a targeted creature. Here's some of the amazing old-school artwork by Paul Bonner and Studio Parente. The Furies have bright red skin with yellow eyes and are clad in a crude iron armor of strange shapes with a few leather details. The Soul Sharer was drawn in black and white by Peter Beiting, and we don't really see it in any of the other classic artwork, so it's hard to know what colors it's supposed to have. Only a couple of the original miniatures carried it, like the Destroyer Sergeant and Supreme Necromagus pictured here. They are painted with metallic colors, but the Warzone Eternal community has experimented a bit with the new miniature. Blade Runner 35, one of my friends and a fellow Swede, as well as Fishbone and Andy from Transatlantis Games have all painted the weapon with some sort of green fire. Meanwhile, Phil MD54 painted his in purple tones, and Korok, the reigning champion of the Eternal Champions Tournament at Adepticon, used more flesh-like colors. I have decided to paint mine in a purple-pink tone to simulate the unnatural power of the dark symmetry. The model was sculpted by Bruno Antello, and it's an amazing interpretation of the original concept, based on sketches by Anwar Hanano. Here's the Snaptray version from Trenchworks. It's printed in a single piece, and just like the others, was very quick and easy to prep for painting. Check out our quick hobby tip video for more on that. Since the largest surface area of this miniature is the armor, I used Leadbelcher to undercoat it. I then chose the same recipe that I used for the Praetorian Stalkers for all the metallic areas on the Fury. Once again, I started with the airbrush and applied a zenithal highlight of Iron Hand steel. If you don't own an airbrush, you could just do a dry brush here instead. This was followed by a more selective highlight with Runefang steel. I used 1 part rattling grime diluted with 2 parts contrast medium as an overall wash. Next up, I added some more Iron Hand steel, this time dry brushing it onto all the surfaces. To define the recesses even more, I then washed everything with Nuln oil. Once that was dry, I applied an edge highlight of Runefang steel. To make it look a bit dirtier, I used Garagak sewer diluted with a lot of contrast medium as a selective glaze on random areas. For the skin, I chose corn red as a base coat, and then washed it with Caribur crimson, before layering on some corn red again. This was followed by a layer of Wazdaka red, and then Evil Sun Scarlet. I used Wild Rider red as a selective highlight, and lastly a filter of Doomfire magenta diluted with a lot of contrast medium. The skin ended up with a glossy finish after this, probably because I didn't shake the contrast medium enough. It's not a problem though, as the overall varnish I apply at the end will fix that. The leather belt was base coated with Blood Reaver flesh. I then washed it with Agrax Earthshade and reapplied a layer of Blood Reaver flesh. This was followed by a layer of Night Questor flesh, and after that I used Baneblade Brown as a highlight. To finish it off, I applied Dark Oath flesh diluted with a lot of contrast medium as a filter. I chose Incubi Darkness as a base coat for the loincloth, and continued with a wash of Nuln oil. After that, I reapplied a layer of Incubi Darkness, and then added a layer of Dark Reaper. Next, I highlighted the cloth with Thunderhawk Blue, and finished it off with a filter of Space Wolf's Grey, diluted with a lot of contrast medium. For the details on the Soul Sharer, I applied Cacophony Purple as a base coat. I actually went for darker colors for the subsequent layers, starting with Genestealer Purple. This makes it look strange and could also simulate an esoteric fire fueled by the dark symmetry. I layered on Zereus Purple next, and chose Nagaroth Night as a highlight. After that, I diluted Fulgrim Pink with a lot of water and applied it as a pin wash in selected recesses. I continued with White Scar in the same way, but even more carefully. When looking at the weapon, I felt it needed an even darker highlight on the edges of the sculpted details, so I used Cantor Blue for this. I painted the eyes with Uriel Yellow, which you can see here. It was a bit hard to record, but I also added a tiny highlight of Dorn Yellow to finish them. The artwork features Algaroth symbols painted on the armor, which gave me an excuse to try out the transfers from the Kickstarter. We made a separate quick hobby tip video on how to apply these, which you can check out here. The finished result looks like this, and I actually used a little Wazdaka red to trace the symbols, making them look genuinely painted on. All that was left now was to varnish and base the minis. Check out the Recede video for more on that. And with that, my Immaculate Furies were complete. They were relatively quick to paint, and I had a blast, especially figuring out what to do with the weapon. It's great to check out the work of the community for inspiration, and hopefully my work could inspire someone else as well. Here's a comparison with one of the classic minis sculpted by Werner Klokke in 1997. They fit in pretty well together, but the new model is slightly taller and they have somewhat different proportions. I only have a couple of units left until I've painted everything that's currently available for Algaroth, so stay tuned for those final painting guides during the upcoming Summer of Warzone this July. Tune in every Sunday for a new Warzone Eternal video at 5 p.m. CET or 11 a.m. EST. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck with your miniatures.